Che dice?
No, no, niente. Sì.
Possiamo invitare qualcuno via Hangout?
Beh, gli dai il link se vogliono, se vuoi che vedano.
Quale link?
Non te l'ho diffuso. Se ti vede Vlad.
Cosa?
Se ti vede lui forse.
Davvero?
Forse sì.
Vabbè, facciamo così.
Sai come sei alla moda?
Hai visto?
Sì.
Il mio nuovo accessorio.
Porca miseria.
Possiamo invitare
Chi?
Raul
Raul. Perché dov'è lui? Beh, lui gli dà il
a
link
Roma.
e lo vede. Certo.
Da dove?
Beh, sul link è qua.
Gli possiamo
Cerchi
fare un...
sul profilo Google Plus di TechPeaks e vedi il link di questo. Però che non riesco a vedere Vladimir. No. Oh, ecco Vlad. Hello Vlad. Hello?
Hello.
Good. Okay, so we are ready to go. Let's see if... Okay, it works.
I will turn down the lights here.
Yeah, so it works that we're broadcasting the two of us. So I can turn it to the room.
Alrighty.
Okay. Audio.
Hey guys, if you can hear me from since you're not in the place with power.
Okay, so you can see also the room and the people.
Hello.
Hey Vlad, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Right.
It seems to be working.
Yeah, it's...
How's it going?
It's good. Hectic day, but since I screwed you over last week, I need to make up for that.
Okay. I think we can improve the volume here.
It's la collina in alto.
Try to speak again, Vlad, please.
Try to talk again so we put the volume.
Hello. How is everyone?
Good.
Hi guys.
Yeah, okay. So there's more people also attending from online, apparently. There are a few guys from Slovenia who are there, and there will be people moving in. Are we recording it somehow, or?
Record automatically
and then, Vlad, would you agree if we record it and use it or broadcast it, etc., or you prefer to say some information that shouldn't be broadcast, and if we say that and then so as not to.
I'll try not to say anything confidential, so you can record me.
Okay, that's great. So shall we start?
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
All right. Yeah, over there. Okay, guys, shall we start? Okay, great. So Vlad, I sent a very short introduction on you of Dashboard, but I would leave to you to introduce yourself better.
Sure.
And it's a pity that you couldn't make it and you had to cancel. As you know, Vlad was originally he hoped he could come last weekend, and then he had to cancel for last minute. But we managed to have him for the call at least. So thank you very much for agreeing for the call. I know it's very busy days, so this is great you could make it this way. And maybe this can also open up like further conversation, since you know, guys, how Vlad can help you and vice versa, right?
Cool.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave it to you.
Awesome. Let me screen share because I have a presentation prepared. Can you see it?
Yeah. No.
Awesome. Alrighty, cool. So the topic that I decided on is to tell you some things that I wish I knew when I started Uberview. My name is Vladimir. I'm one of the founders of Uberview, and now I work for Hootsuite. Hootsuite is one of the leading social media management platforms, and Hootsuite acquired my company a few months back. So let me tell you something about me. I started my first company when I was in my second year of college. So the goal of when I started college, my dream was to be a Microsoft employee. I thought that writing software for, I don't know, Windows is the greatest thing that can happen. Funny thing is that in the first day of college, I met this Romanian guy called Radu Georgescu who sold his company to Microsoft. And I thought, gee, I mean, selling a company to Microsoft and hanging out with Bill Gates is a little bit better and definitely much more awesome than just be a developer. So I started to read about entrepreneurship, how to build companies, and all those things. So the company that I founded was called MetroMind. We started doing web apps, and then we slowly transitioned to be a development shop for all these US companies, and we built a lot of software for them. I was also involved in a few other local startups. So by the time I finished college, MetroMind had, I don't know, 15, 20 employees and was doing pretty well. And a few years after that, we decided actually to sell the company to a competitor and to build an automated revenue engine based on a product. We liked product building way more than we liked services. And because we had experience in the past with building software, prior to starting Uberview, we released a CMS called Bluo, which was quite popular in 2006, 2007. So we decided to create a social media marketing engine. And we pitched this idea to Seedcamp in 2008. To give you some context, in 2008, there were just 2 incubators, maybe 3 in the world. So we had Y Combinator in Boston. That was before Paul Graham moved it to San Francisco, and some European VCs and decided that Europe should have an incubator as well. So that's how Seedcamp was created. So there were not a lot of options for companies back in the day. So we decided to apply to Seedcamp, and we won. We were selected among, hundreds of companies that applied. So we started that batch. I think it was 7 companies back in 2008 to build what was to become Uberview. When we started, we didn't have anything. It was just a PowerPoint presentation and a demo that was barely working. But yeah, that's how we started. And 5 years later, we sold Uberview to Hootsuite, and now I'm a director of product at Hootsuite. And the Uberview product is still alive, and parts of the technologies are being integrated into Hootsuite. So, what's this Uberview thing that I keep talking about? So, Uberview is a social media analytics platform. So think about all the stuff that people are talking about on Twitter, Facebook, blogs, news, so on and so forth. We are the company that brings it all together and offers companies all these metrics and sentiment analysis and everything that they need to know to run their business. So we're like a private NSA for the marketing department, if you want to think of Uberview in using a comparison. Alrighty. So what I want to do is I don't want to offer advice. I don't think that advice can help you that much. But what I will do is tell you about some of the things that I've learned through this journey. And although I'm gonna speak like in some ways that I'm giving you advice, is just, I don't know, notes to self in most cases. Because why not giving you advice? Because I got so much advice in these 5 years, and most of the advice was actually bad because it didn't apply to what we were doing, and it can actually confuse you. It can defocus you. So you have to take advice very, very carefully, and there are so many people that can give you advice. So what I will encourage you to do is look at my presentation as some of the things that we learned through making a lot of mistakes, and if this applies to you, let's have a conversation. If not, you just hear a few nice stories. Why SaaS? I mean, this presentation applies to building a SaaS company. So why SaaS? When we started Uberview, our goal was to make money while we sleep. We came from a services business, and in the services business, if you don't come to work, you don't make money, and this is bad. So we wanted to create a service, a company, a revenue model where when we go to bed, we still make money. So when we get up in the morning, we have more money in the bank account than the amount that we had when we went to sleep. So this is SaaS. I know it's kind of silly, but that's how we looked at SaaS back in the day. And for us, this seemed like a miracle. Cool. So the first thing that I want to focus on is building features carefully. When we started, we had this idea that, which was true, that we were great engineers. We can build anything, and we will build beyond what our competitors offer. And as we learned that this is a stupid way to build a product. And if I'm to give you advice, I would say build features very, very carefully. And technical and product debt are real. And when you read about product debt or technical debt, it's always the big companies, the Microsoft, the Salesforce of the world who have these issues. It doesn't seem like, I don't know, a small startup can be affected by technical debt. I don't know if you know what technical debt is, so I'll just explain it in a few minutes since I cannot interact with you while I'm doing this presentation. So technical debt is this idea that as you build more and more code, the cost of maintaining that code grows to the point where it's almost impossible for you to develop new features, or new features, even small features, will take a lot of time to be developed because of all the code that you have accumulated over the years. And the same thing applies to product, and if you're building features and I don't know, chaotically, you get to a product that's bloated, that has tons of features, but nobody knows exactly how the product works and stuff like that. And as a startup, it's so easy to start chasing all these great new features that will I don't know bring success. So the way we created product and technical debt is always trying new things. So this month was bad, but it's bad because we didn't build that awesome shiny new feature. So you build that one in the hope that this will make everything better, and of course it kind of makes things better, but it doesn't change everything. So then you build another feature, and 4 years later you end up with a code base that's all over the place and with a product that doesn't really make sense, or it doesn't have a consistent UI. The way we're trying to incorporate these things in the way we're building products right now is we're trying to think of the problem first, and then to think of the feature as a solution, not just features. So what's exactly the problem that we're trying to solve? What's the customer pain point, and is it worth our time and effort to solve this problem? And this way of thinking is completely different than just building features. And chasing features is something that we did in the early days, and I don't encourage you to do the same thing. The other thing is, in the early days, I think in my next company I will look at all the features that I'm building as experiments, and most of the experiments that you will try will fail, and it's normal. But very few people actually I don't know, delete those features, those failed experiments, so in a way to clean up the data, the code base, and to have a clean product to work with. We didn't do that in the past. So when we did our last cleanup, we had features that we built for, I don't know, this weird client in the UK who had access to these 3 features that only a developer knew about. And at that time, I remember when we built those features, it made total sense. I mean, that customer was willing to give us money. We hit our numbers for the month. But in the long term, those features didn't have anything to do with what the product and the company was all about. So we should have deleted those features, and maybe we should have said no to the money and just be true to what the product and the company is all about. I don't know, I would think twice before building anything. Another thing that I kind of learned and my team learned, with SaaS, it's all about the numbers. And everybody says get in love with the problem and not the product and not the company. It took me a while to understand this, but it's true. I mean, in SaaS, it's all about the numbers, and the reality is nobody cares about you. So don't take things personally. You'll get a lot of no's, and building a SaaS company, it's brutal. There's a lot of competition. A lot of people will try a product, and most of them will churn in the first years because you didn't get it quite right. Don't take it personally. I mean, try as much as possible not to get emotionally attached. We did that, and it takes away from the fun of the ride. One thing that we also didn't pay attention to in the early days is we didn't know our metrics. So we had all this I don't know, sentimental attachment to the product and the company, but it was just because it was our baby. What we should have done is just look at understand what the metrics of our industries are, track those, and try to improve them steadily with each day. And if something didn't work out, just cut it and try the next thing, and be as unemotionally detached emotionally as possible. So if any of you are building SaaS companies, think about the numbers and pivot if the model doesn't work out, and try to leave emotions out of it as much as possible. You'll have a way better ride, I would say. Another thing that we kind of screwed up in the early years is we didn't want a sales force. When we started UberView, our model was 37 signals, which is now called Basecamp. So the idea of a product that would sell itself. So our product should be as easy to use and as powerful that everybody will buy it. We don't need Salesforce. We don't need huge marketing budgets. The product is the marketing. The product is the Salesforce. Those are some of the things that we read, and we believed it. And we were coming from an agency world where everything is sales-driven and service-oriented, and we wanted to be the opposite. We wanted to focus on building the most amazing product, and then by miracle, everything to take care of itself. And shocker, the world doesn't work like that. So I remember my first years in London, where I lived for 4 years, and I visited the Google campus back in 2009, 2010. And the Google campus back then, it was a 5 stories building, a huge building, and there was no engineer in that building. Everybody was doing sales. And I asked the Google guy that I was with, what are these people selling? I mean, Google is, so everybody knows Google. Google doesn't need a sales force. And he gave me some numbers. So in 2009, 2010, Google was making way more money through Salesforce selling ads than through the self-serve service. So that was a shocker to me. I mean, like Google, who is the most known web company in the world, with a product that's so easy to use and so intuitive that pretty much everybody uses, and they still need a huge sales force to bring in way more than half of their revenue. So that was a waking call for me. And afterwards, I looked at a bunch of other companies that I thought were doing the product that sells itself strategy, and guess what? They were using Salesforce, and they had a lot of money invested in marketing. This is really, really important. So take all this advice that you read online with a grain of salt. You really need marketing and sales if you want to make it big in the SaaS business model. Another thing that we kind of screwed up was venture capital. Not that we screwed it up because we had amazing investors. I couldn't be happier with the firm that we chose as our partner. So we partnered with Eden Ventures, and they were amazing partners through our journey. But we didn't know exactly what we were signing up when we signed up. And everybody in the world thinks that raising money is the first step in making a successful SaaS company, and that's what we thought when we started, but we didn't know what that thing means. So as we became educated with the VC world, and now I'm a mentor at all these startup competition and incubators, I noticed that everybody want to raise money, but very few people understand what the game is. And people look at venture as this, I don't know, game that some lucky ones win and some don't. And it's like a prize. It's like, oh, you won the VC round or something like that. And very few understand what the rules of the game are, and what this means for you, your colleagues, and your company. So I would like to walk you through what does it mean to raise money, and what what do you sign up for when you do that thing. And a lot of people that I take through this exercise don't want to raise money afterwards. And I know you read a lot of articles, you may read a lot of articles from big VCs that say that, for example, for a SaaS, you need a minimum of $40 million to go to IPO. But there is another road to success, which maybe will not end in IPO, but if you want to create a successful company, granted not a very huge company, you can do that without raising money. So if you don't like the VC deal, you can probably build a pretty successful company without raising money. So what does it mean to raise money? So let me walk you through a quick exercise so you understand what the deal is. So let's say you raise $1 million. It's probably the amount that every small startup is looking to get. It's the first money that you get into the company. And for the sake of the argument, let's say you will dilute yourself with a third, so 33%. What this means, by the way, is that the founders will remain with 66% and the investors will take 33%. And with these numbers, the valuation of the company would be $3 million. And by the way, this valuation may be based on thin air. It may be a made-up number just because we need a valuation that will take the $1 million and will need to dilute the founders, but not so much to keep enough there for future rounds and stuff like that. So that number, in most cases, it's a completely made-up number. However, once you made this, probably to create an exit that would be an attractive for your investors, you will probably need to sell the company for like 20 million plus. And that would require probably revenues of $1 to $2 million, just to be sure that you can hit that that number. And again, these are made-up numbers. It depends on the industry. It depends on a lot of things, the multipliers in that industry. It's how old the company is, who the founders are. So there are a lot of things that can change everything that I'm putting on this slide. But just so you know, if you want to sell the company for $20 million, you need at least a couple of $1 million in revenue. So then the question is, if you're raising $1 million right now, do you think that you, the team, the company, the product, can get to $2 million in revenue in a year and a half? Because that's kind of what you're signing up for to do if you were to sell the company later. But then let's say you're not going for the revenues. You're going for $5 million. So you're like, we're going to raise more money. We will not care about the revenues at this stage. So let's say you raise another $5 million.
Hello, Valad. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you?
Hey. Yeah, right. So unfortunately, we lost the connection for the last 3 minutes.
Alrighty. Is it you or me? Because I have a pretty strong signal.
Okay, what about now?
I can hear you, but I can hear you, I can see you.
All right, it's coming and going.
I will turn off the video because I have to
Okay. So I'll turn off the video here.
Okay. Can you still hear me, see me?
All right. We are here. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, yes. Hello? Any better? I can still hear you, but I don't think you can hear me. Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
are we back?
Okay, I tested my
All
internet
right.
connection.
I switch off the video.
I have 100
Okay.
megabytes
Can you hear
down.
us?
Yes, I
Let's
can.
try.
Can you?
All right. Let's try to go on. Sorry, but we lost the connection. The guys that were online probably were still seeing you, but us, we lost it. Kind of 3 minutes before I managed to get to you.
Alrighty. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you perfectly.
Old technology works better. What are you doing, all startups out there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me? Or yes, you can see what I'm typing.
Let me try this again. Shall we stop again and restart? You wanna call us?
Sure, I'll try to call you. Hello? Hello? You're muted. Hello, baby. Încerc să intru într-o conferință cu aia din Italia care... Ceva urgent? Și l-ai sunat? Da, știu. Mhm. Ok. Mhm. Mhm. Bine, bine. Hai, te pup, pa.
E dovrebbe essere, aggiungiamo... Ah, ecco lì,
Yeah.
Vlad.
It's Vlad. Hey Vlad, can you hear me now? Yeah, we managed.
Can you hear
So
me?
I'm putting you back into your position. Be careful.
Paolo, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me when I'm talking?
So we changed laptop because it seemed the laptop
Paolo, can you
last.
can you hear when
Right.
I'm speaking? Hello?
Now let's see. Audio, can you speak?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay. Can you? Okay. Can you hear me? Blah 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 blah.
Great. I hear a bit of echo, but it's fine.
I have headphones, so I don't think I'm causing it, but...
All right.
You're on mute.
Yeah, now I took it off. Okay, right. I'll switch off the video because so we have more bandwidth. Okay.
Alrighty.
And I'll mute. Okay, we had missed like 2 minutes before I managed to tell you that we were out.
Okay, leave the channel open. I'll wrap up my presentation, and then I want to take a question in the remaining 45 minutes. Okay.
Okay, that's good. I'll quit the video and I'll mute in any case. Okay.
Alrighty.
Right.
Okay. So I will not switch back to my presentation because it's easier to do it without it. So what I was trying to tell you is that I think it's very important to know what you're signing up when you take VC money, and I was trying to walk you through an exercise of what happens when you raise money. So in the first example, I was walking you through what happens when you raise a $1 million seed round. So let's say you raise $1 million, which means roughly, for the sake of the estimation, like, I don't know, a 3% of the company, so a 33% dilution, which is not uncommon. It's probably quite common. So what that means is, after you take that 1 million round, you will retain 66% of the company, the investors, the other third. And that means that your company will be valued at $3 million. And what I was saying is that that number is completely made up at this point. So don't expect that to come from a very scientific, accurate model. It's something that you and your investors agreed on valuating the company so that you still own enough of the company to keep it interesting for you, to have room for additional funding rounds, so on and so forth. But let's say you want to stop taking any more money, so the $1 million is everything that you're going to raise. This means that to make it attractive for your investors who would like to get between 5x and 10x return for the duration of the company, you will need to sell that company for, I don't know, $20 million, let's say, which, if you are to value the company based on revenues, it will mean that you and the company will need to hit the revenue target of at least $2 million and if you are in a very attractive industry with a 10x multiplier, that will mean that you can sell the company for $20 million, so your investors are happy with their investment. So anyway, this is kind of what you sign up for. You take $1 million, and if you don't want to take additional money, you need to get with that money to $2 million in revenue or more. And when most people hear that calculation, they're like, oh shit, this is hard, this is complicated, blah 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 blah. But let's say you don't want to make any revenues and you want to go for the next round, which is we're all growth and we don't care about revenues. So let's say you are one of those companies that manages to raise a Series A or B based on no revenues, so or very small revenue. So let's say you raise an additional $5 million. And this means with 33% dilution, which again I'm taking the same percentage, which may not be accurate, and this means that your investors now own about half of the company, 40-something%, and the valuation is probably, I don't know, in $15-20 million. So for your investors to get a nice return, you'll need to sell the company with at least $100 million. And if you are to base that valuation on revenues, you will need at least $20 million in revenue. So these are the numbers, and you should be aware of these numbers because these are the numbers that are expected of you when you raise money. If I don't know 37 Signals or Basecamp or these companies who have this lifestyle sort of approach to building SaaS is what you look for. If these are your mentors, then taking VC money will probably be a shocker once you understand what's expected of you. I'm not saying don't take money from VCs, not at all. Some VCs are amazing, and if you want to create a huge company, frankly, there's no better way to accelerate your growth than taking VC money. What I'm saying is be very aware of what you're signing up for. And when we created Uberview, we looked at VC money as this price that all the cool companies get once they appear on TechCrunch. But now that we understand it better, we want to make sure that all the other companies who go through the same path are well aware of the expectations. Cool. Let's go to Q&A. I mean, you heard my stories. I went through some of my stories. Tell me yours. How can I help you? What are the cool things that you're working on, and how can I add value?
Right. I'm switching on video and the audio now. So let's hope the bandwidth is better now that you have switched off the BitTorrent. All right. Okay, guys.
Breaking Bad.
Okay. So anybody questions for Vlad? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Come closer to the mic. Stand here, so I can see you also.
hi.
Hey.
I'd be quite curious to hear about when you started actually validating that people would pay for the software, because from the outside look of things, like it's very complete now, but I imagine in the early days you were just building a small fraction of it.
Right. Yeah. So we don't have very exciting validation story. So as I was telling you, we looked at companies like 37 Signals as a role model. So what we did is we put a price point of $29 and we accepted credit cards payments, and that was it. People started paying. That was not the problem. People were putting in credit cards and we were accepting their money. The problem was churn. So we didn't understand that, I know a lot of the people were churning, and we didn't understand why that was happening, why were people leaving the product. And a large percentage of those were churning, but the bigger problem was that not enough people were signing up. So it took us a few months to realize that all our business model is fucked up, that we could not get to those revenues that we signed up for with this model. And after a year of experimenting things, the realization was that we have built a product that is popular with the enterprise cloud. The people who were sticking out with our product were big companies like, I don't know, Oane, Fujitsu, the World Bank. These were our users, and for them, paying $29 or $2,000 per month didn't mean a thing. It was just a number. And the reality was that the solution that we envisioned for small businesses, it wasn't for small businesses. The small businesses didn't need the solution that we built for them because they didn't have a problem. Actually, the problem that we were trying to solve was not there. So if you think about it, in 2010, when we were selling this, the pitch was that we can help all the small companies understand what's being said about them and understand their competitors, their market, and all these things. But for most small companies, nobody talked about them. I mean, nobody cared about them. They were small. So by signing up to our service, we were giving them numbers on how much they suck. And that wasn't a very, cool service. I mean, hey, sign up here, give me $29, and I'll tell you what people talk about you on Twitter and Facebook. They don't talk about you on Twitter and Facebook. Nobody cares about you. Tough shit. Come back tomorrow. I mean, that wasn't very cool. Big companies, however, well, there was plenty of them being. There were plenty of discussions on forums and Twitter and Facebook and all these platforms. So they gain a lot of value from our service. However, we weren't architected for enterprise, so we didn't have sales, we didn't have marketing, our product didn't have all the enterprisey redundancy and uptime and all those things. So we had to invest a lot in transforming the product into an enterprise-ready application, which took a few months and costed a lot of money. But we ended up with a product that enterprises were willing to pay large amounts of money and turned Uberview into a real business that we can grow and scale. So that's our story. I know it's not very exciting, but that's how it happened for Uberview. Paolo, you're mute, so.
Yeah, exactly. I'm muting when you're speaking so that you don't get like background noise. Okay, does that answer?
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks. Other questions?
And guys, I know if this is not working out for you, Paolo, make sure you give everyone my email address. I'm willing to have one-on-ones with you if you have specific questions and go in details on your business. So
would you also be available to share your slides?
Oh, sure. I'll send you the links.
That's great. Thanks. If you have them on SlideShare or you want to send like something, that would be great.
Okay.
Any question? Yeah, Andrei, coming in close.
Hi, Vladimir. I'm Andrei.
Hey.
I wanted to ask you to talk a little more, if you can, about your selling to the Hootsuite. I mean, as an exit experience, and how did you know that is the right time to make the exit, or was it the right time, or in your thought on this?
Timing. We never built our company so that we can sell it to someone, although that's kind of what you sign up for. I mean, the investors want their return, so either you sell or IPO, there needs to be some sort of a liquidity event to give the money back. So we were aware of that being something that needed to happen. But we built the company so that is a sustainable, thriving, high-growing company, not looking for an exit. However, there were a lot of movements in our space. I don't know if you're following what's happening in our space, but all these big companies like Salesforce, Oracle, IBM were buying companies left and right, so the space was becoming much more concentrated among a few big players. It was way harder to compete, considering Salesforce has unlimited amount of money, for example. And Hootsuite was an attractive option for us because I think at that time Hootsuite was the company that we respected the most because they had the most kick-ass product and they have an amazing business model. So internally, it was the company that we looked up at the most. So we were quite excited when they approached us. In the last year, we had a conversation with all the major players because everybody talks to everybody in this industry. But out of all the companies that we talked to, Hootsuite was the best deal, both in terms of culture. These guys are pretty much the same as we are in terms of building product values, how they see the market, how they want to evolve the product. So it was amazing talking to them. And I think out of all the companies that existed, we didn't want it to partner with a very stiff enterprisey company. We wanted to partner with someone who wants to disrupt an entire industry. And from that point of view, I think Hootsuite was the best choice for us. And after being with Hootsuite for half a year, I think we made the best choice.
So basically, what you're saying is that it's not only a question of timing and or deal by the numbers, but it's also a question of what's behind the deal and what's really the future that you see for yourself and your team within the acquisition.
Exactly. I mean, you want to continue to build on the stuff that you started, and you want to see the technology that you worked so hard to create to continue to live inside of something that is bigger. You don't want to be that sort of a acqui-hire where they hire all the engineers and the product gets terminated the next day. I mean, at least for us, that wasn't as exciting. We wanted Uberview to continue, and we wanted to bring the cool stuff that we built all these years to millions and millions of people. And Hootsuite has almost 10 million users, thousands of enterprises using their platform. So that was very, very attractive for us as product people, and also for our engineers. It was like a continuation of the stuff that they started with, because the people that we are now working with are doing similar stuff, both in terms of technologies and how we work and values, and everything is super similar. So we didn't go through this crazy integration where everything is a mess and people have no idea what to do the next day. Everything was super smooth, and yeah, I don't know if I answer your question. If you want to focus on more specific details, I can go into those, but you let me know.
All right. Another question for my part, because it's I mean, these guys are very far from an acquisition, but it's great since you had this experience so recently. It's great to have to be prepared more or less with this for this. And can you share how you communicated to the team that you would be acquired, and what happened?
Well, people will hear about that in batches. So people who will be involved in the deal and the due diligence and stuff like that will hear about it. I know the first among the first, and then the other people later. So communication-wise, well, we wanted to be as transparent as possible. So the way we communicated to the team, we had the all-hands company meeting where we were joined by folks from Hootsuite, and we had a joint announcement telling why we're doing this and introducing Hootsuite. Everybody knew about Hootsuite. We were a company that we were respecting quite a lot. And then we took questions from people. We told them that this is something that we plan to do in a few weeks, and to, I don't know, keep it a secret until it hits TechCrunch, stuff like that. So it's not rocket science. It's all about being open, honest, and answering questions. And it was cool that our colleagues from Vancouver came to Bucharest, came to London, came to Boston, to all our offices to be live when we did the internal announcement. But yeah, it's a very exciting time when you make that announcement, because you want people to be excited and to see all the cool things that are coming, and not to be worried about their future, like, oh, what's going to happen with me now, and what about this and what about that. So it's something that you need to prepare for. But as you said, Paulo, I mean, if it's not something that it's imminent for you guys. Don't worry about it. I mean, nobody can prepare you for that. You'll just figure it out along the way.
All right, thanks. We have a question from Raul, who's attending from online. That is, can you tell us more about how you went about pricing and making sure the price was optimal in a B2B SaaS? Maybe not that obvious, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't think we figured out pricing even today. I don't know if our pricing was ever optimal or if it's optimal right now. We continue to improve on pricing, but I don't have a formula. I don't have a secret sauce. What we did is we started with something and then we iterated on it and we measured and draw some conclusions. So we started with 29 bucks a month, and then we increased it to 49 bucks a month. And after that, we increased it to $79 a month, and that was when we were playing with this 37. What you see is what you get paid with the credit card model. And when we decided to be enterprise, we just moved everything to $500 a month. Why $500? I don't think it was an exact science. We looked at our competitors, we looked at the value that we were bringing, and we chose a starting price that was quite affordable for any medium company with room to scale up. So probably I don't have a formula. What I would suggest you could do is pick a metric that you can scale based on. In our case, was the number of streams that people were getting in the product. For other SaaS companies, it's even easier. It's, I don't know, the amount of users that can access your software. Figure out who your customers are and put some pricing for your product that's tied to how the customers look at this software. So, for example, for a CRM, everybody is looking at, I don't know, the number of leads that you're tracking, or the number of salespeople, sales agents that have access to the software. In, I don't know, in website analytics is the amount of traffic that you're tracking or stuff like that. So it's not rocket science. It's a lot of trial and error. And the best thing when you're a small startup is that you can probably change pricing quite frequently without having I don't know, major crisis and people, I don't know, throwing tomatoes at you. So you can experiment with that a lot in the early days.
All right, thanks. Any more questions? Yeah. So I don't know if we have anything from online more. Can we check, Maria, can you check on the chat if there's any question?
No. I was checking.
All right. Okay. Well, then I think we can conclude it here. I know that you took time out of your job, and you said you were very busy these days. So
no worries.
Yeah.
Vladimir at uberview.com or Vladimir.oane, which is my last name, at Gmail. Please write me there if you want a one-on-one. I'm more than willing to spend time with you and answer your questions.
That's great. So thank you so much. The applause, I think you will hear.
Thank you, Vladimir.
So thank you, Vlad. It was great to have you here. Sorry for the connection problems.
No worries.
And, thank you for your availability offline later.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
We hope to have you here next time in Trento.
Yeah, I would love to.
Great.
Bye.
Ciao. Thanks again. Bye bye.